It's rough.
All righty, today we're going to look at Genesis 18 and 19, Sodom and Gomorrah. By way of introduction, Paul writes in Galatians 6, "Do not be deceived, God cannot be mocked." And how clearly that truth is demonstrated in the account of the ancient cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Yet even when mocked, God remains a God of mercy, ever willing to hear the prayers of his people. So we start with the first part in Genesis 18, 16 and 33. When the men got up to leave, they looked down toward Sodom, and Abraham walked along with them to see them on their way. Then the Lord said, "Shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all nations on earth will be blessed through him. For I have chosen him so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised." Then the Lord said, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great, and their sin so grievous, that I will go down and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know." The men turned away and went toward Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham approached him and said, "Will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away and not spare the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. Far be it from you. Will not the judge of all the earth do right?" The Lord said, "If I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake." Then Abraham spoke up again. "Now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, though I am nothing but dust and ashes, what if the number of the righteous is 5 less than 50? Will you destroy the whole city because of 5 people? If I find 45 there," he said, "I will not destroy the whole city because of 5 people." Oh, I lost my place again. 40. Oh, yeah.
If only 40 are there.
Verse 29. Once again he spoke to him. "What if only 40 are found there?" He said, "For the sake of 40 I will not do it." Then he said, "May the Lord not be angry, but let me speak. What if only 30 can be found there?" He answered, "I will not do it if I find 30 there." Abraham said, "Now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, what if only 20 can be found there?" He said, "For the sake of 20 I will not destroy it." Then he said, "May the Lord not be angry, but let me speak just once more. What if only 10 can be found there?" He answered, "For the sake of 10 I will not destroy it." When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he left, and Abraham returned home. All right. First question there. 3 special guests visited Abraham one day, 2 angels and the Lord. As they were leaving, the Lord told Abraham what he was about to do. What was he about to do?
Destroy Sodom and Gomorrah.
He was going down to investigate Sodom and Gomorrah, wasn't he? Said, "I've heard the outcry." And it's not that God didn't know. He knew exactly what was going on there, and he was going to bring judgment against its inhabitants. Well, number 2, one person said that Abraham prayed to God with holy shamelessness. Why is that a term fitting characterization of Abraham's intercession? Look at his prayer.
Well, he didn't feel he was worthy.
Okay, he admitted he was not worthy to bring these petitions before God, but
But he was
Let me
praying
speak.
anyway.
pretty bold, isn't he? He is not afraid to repeat his prayers, is he? And that comes from faith in the Lord. True faith acts on God's invitations. Says, "Come to me. Pray to me. Call on me." Do it then. And really, this is a wonderful example of wrestling with God in prayer. Well, number 3, Abraham appealed to God's justice. Would God really destroy the righteous along with the wicked? And in what sense were some of the people righteous? Were there wicked people living in Sodom and Gomorrah?
Yeah.
They all are.
Yeah, these are all sinners.
All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Who are the righteous that he's talking about?
The ones that believe.
Believers, those who trusted in the Lord. Well, how did God demonstrate his mercy?
He said, I will.
Sure, if there's 50, I won't destroy it. If there's 45, if there's 40, 30, 20, all the way down to 10. I remember one of my teachers when I was in grade school, his picture of this when he was teaching it to us in religion class, it's the way I always picture it. God and Abraham are standing next to each other, they're walking, and it's like Abraham comes up to the Lord and says, Lord, let me just ask you. And they stop. What if there are 50? And God turns to Abraham and said, there are 50, I won't destroy it. And he starts walking again. Wait a minute, Lord. Stops the Lord again. Because he knew God was heading straight towards Sodom and Gomorrah. He said, what if there are 45? God says, if there are 45, I'll spare it. And he starts walking again. And he's walking toward it, but he stops, takes the time to listen to Abraham. And of course, God did keep on walking, didn't he? Well, number 5, imagine you're visiting your sister in the hospital. Her eyes filled with tears as she says, I know I've done many bad things. I know I haven't been righteous enough. I don't think God will help me. What do you say to this?
God was involved. He believed that, or the thief on the cross, and he had that type of life. He told him right away, you are with me in paradise.
Sure, think of where the Bible says God so loved the world. Where John tells us that Jesus is the atoning sacrifice not only for our sins, but for whom?
The whole world.
The whole world, including your sister in the hospital bed. All right, well, let's look at Genesis 19, first 11 verses. The 2 angels arrived at Sodom and Eden, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of the city. When he saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. My lords, he said, please turn aside to your servant's house. You can wash your feet and spend the night, and then go on your way early in the morning. No, they answered, we'll spend the night in the square. But he insisted so strongly that they go with him and entered his house. He prepared a meal for them, baking bread without yeast, and they ate. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot, where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them. Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him and said, no, my friends, don't do this wicked thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you like with them. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof. Get out of our way, they replied. And they said, this fellow came here as an alien, and now he wants to play judge. We'll treat you worse than them. They kept bringing pressure on Lot and moved forward to break down the door. But the men inside reached out and pulled Lot back into the house and shut the door. Then they struck the men who were at the door of the house, young and old, with blindness, so that they could not find the door. Well, I didn't print the passage from Peter here, but Peter gives us some important facts about Lot at this time. He tells us that he was a righteous man. He tells us that he was disturbed by all the sinfulness that was going on around him. Well, number 7, yet what clues are there that the people of Sodom had corrupted Lot? Actually, a couple of clues here.
He was willing to give his
daughters. He's willing to give up his daughters, isn't he? Who in their right mind would do that? Well, he offered that. Even go back, what does he say to these people when they first come to the door. My friends. You really want to call them your friends? Are you agreeing with what they do? Well, number 8. Jesus spoke of the attitude of the residents of Sodom. In Luke 18, I didn't print that one for you either. He says people were eating and drinking, marrying, all these doing these things right up until the time God rained down sulfur. So, what words might describe their attitude as they approach the day of judgment?
We're still gonna be partying.
Eat, drink, and be merry. We're going to party, right? They were indifferent. They couldn't care less if God was coming back. They were too preoccupied with the world and the things of the world, aren't they? Well, how'd the angels intervene to save Lot?
Open inside and shut the door.
They pulled him into the house and shut the door. What else did they do? Blinded the guys, so they couldn't find the door. Well, number 10. Many people tell story of strangers appearing out of nowhere and saving them from danger. Missionaries have told of hostile attacks stopping for no apparent reason. They suggest God may have used angels to save them. What do you think?
I think it still happens.
I wasn't there, I don't know, but I'm not going to question them. I remember hearing about a missionary who spent the night in the wild, and he was all sitting, had a little fire, and there were a group of bad men that were going to attack him, but they didn't. And later on, he talked to these guys, and they told him, yeah, we were going to attack you, but you had too many people around you. Oh, really? He didn't remember seeing any people there, but the bad guys did. And who do you think they saw?
Angels.
I mean, you think of the time, was it Elisha? Or was it Elijah? Elisha, I think. Where God opened up his eyes and the servant's eyes to see the hills were surrounded by angels to protect them. You probably have seen an angel and never knew it. What does the book of Hebrews say about it? You could entertain a stranger and not entertain an angel and not even know it's an angel. I've heard from a lot of people where they're in the hospital and all of a sudden this nurse comes in and does all these things and leaves, and there's no nurse there. And the patient describes the nurse to a T. They don't have a nurse that looks like that in the hospital. Nobody saw her in the hallway. And the other nurses were coming down the hallway when she supposedly left. Who was it? Could be an angel. God assures us. I mean, you think of Jacob's vision this morning. What did angels do?
Carry messages.
The word angel means messenger. They carry out God's plan. And so, yes, God sends them to do certain things. Maybe it's the angel that shoves you out of the way of that car that's about to hit you. A lot of different instances. I don't really have a question about it here, but what's the big sin in Sodom and Gomorrah?
Homosexuality.
Isn't part of it homosexuality? There are those who say homosexuality is not wrong and everything else, that they were just sinners. They were sexually depraved, but not necessarily homosexuals. The Bible's pretty clear on homosexuality. All right, well, let's look at the next section.
Didn't that sin get the name from Sodom?
What?
Didn't their sin get their name
Sure.
from Sodom?
Just sodomize somebody? Yeah, that's where it comes from. And, yeah, it's an abomination. It's not the way God created people. The way He created them, male and female. And one man, one woman. and people like to change it around. And with the way things are, what was it, just, what school is it? I think it's in Maryland or California, I remember which one, some grade school. When they fill out the sheets for the 5-year-olds, they can determine their sex, or lack of it, as well as their race.
The 5-year-old?
Yes. So I could go in there and say, I am a girl and I am Japanese. And they have to accept it. Really? There's real simple ways to determine if you're a boy or a girl. What? All you gotta do is check the plumbing. All right, let's look at Genesis 19. The two men said to Lot, do you have anyone else here, sons-in-law, sons or daughters, or anyone else in the city who belongs to you? Get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place. The outcry to the Lord against his people is so great that he has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who were pledged to marry his daughters. He said, hurry and get out of this place, because the Lord is about to destroy the city. But his sons-in-law thought he was joking. With the coming of dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, hurry, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished. When he hesitated, the men grasped his hand in the hands of his wife and his 2 daughters and led them safely out of the city, for the Lord was merciful to them. As soon as they had brought them out, one of them said, flee for your lives. Don't look back and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains, or you will be swept away. But Lot said to them, no, my lords, please. Your servant has found favor in your eyes, and you have shown great kindness to me in sparing my life. But I can't flee to the mountains. This disaster will overtake me, and I will die. Look, here is a town near enough to run to, and it is small. Let me flee to it. It's very small, isn't it? Then my life will be spared. He said to them, very well. I will grant this request too. I will not overthrow the town you speak of, but flee there quickly, because I cannot do anything until you reach it. That is why the town was called Zoar. Well, number 11. Lot warned his sons-in-law about the impending destruction. What was their reaction?
He thought it was a joke.
They thought it was a joke. Did they leave? They refused to go, didn't they? Really, it's kind of sad when you look at this whole thing. Go back to Abraham's prayer to God. If there are 50, and he works all the way down to 10, you did not find 10 righteous people. How many do we know were there?
4.
3 or 4, depending on how you want to count Lot's
Yeah,
wife.
3 or 4, yeah.
That's it. I'll be honest, I do not know how big Sodom was at this time. But still, I mean, it had to have considerable size, because Abraham started with 50. Worked all the way down to 10. Couldn't find it. Anyway, number 12. The Bible contains warnings for us today. For example, God warns that the last day, the day of judgment, will come soon. He also warns against persisting in sin. How do many people react to these warnings? How should they react? First of all, how do they react to these warnings?
Yeah. It's not today, not tomorrow, or whatever.
It's not going to happen today, because it didn't happen yesterday. Didn't Peter talk about that? In one of his epistles, he says, people will say, where's this day you keep talking about? Life goes on as it has since the beginning. What was Peter's answer? The Lord is not slow in keeping his promise, as some understand slowness. He will come. I don't want to be caught unprepared. People laugh at the warnings. They laugh at what God says about sin and things like that. It's not that bad. I'm not hurting anybody with what I do. Really. maybe you're not hurting another person, but whom are you hurting?
Yourself.
Yourself? You're also hurting God, aren't you? Ultimately, every sin is committed against God. Even if you punch somebody out, you didn't just give that guy a bloody nose, you sinned against God. Every sin is against Him. Do we care? Well, how about the other one? How should they react?
Get ready for
Repent.
I'd want to get ready on it. I'd want to repent of my sins. You know, it's interesting reading articles and stuff, and people are sorry for what they did. Really. I'm not questioning everybody's sorrow, but a lot of times, what are they really sorry for?
I'm saying I got caught.
Sorry, they got
I got caught. One of the meditations this week, I think it was in the meditations, talked about if you could do it all over again,
Yeah.
would you find a way so you wouldn't get caught? Or would you not do it in the first place? If you think back to things you regret, would you do it a different way? Are you feel bad because you did it, you got caught, or because you sinned against God? All right. Number 13, what request did Lot make the angels when the angels instructed them to flee to the mountains?
Go to that quick village, otherwise you just will never make it.
Not sure I'm gonna make it up the hill here, I'm gonna get destroyed in the mountains. How about this little town over here? Well, 14, Lot didn't stay in the town of Zoar, why not?
But
Maybe he wised up by this point. He saw the wickedness and thought,
Like Sodom.
I already lived in one city that got destroyed, I don't want to be influenced by it again. Well, 15, material concerns dominate too many decisions in Lot's life. Think of some examples. Go through Lot's life. How did material possessions play into a lot of his problems?
They chose the better land.
Why'd they have to choose better land? What
For his
To get more money and.
Okay, he had a lot of money.
Wealthy.
He was rich. There was arguments between the herdsmen, right? Abraham gave him a choice. What did he choose? He didn't care what was there. He just saw it was big and beautiful, right? Anything else? In fact, he set up shop in Sodom and Gomorrah,
Outside, yeah.
and he knew what the city was like. You're putting yourself in danger. It's like the drunk going into a bar saying, I can handle this. Or it has an apartment upstairs for rent. I can handle it even though I'm a drunk. Do you want to put yourself in that position? Job did, unfortunately. Perhaps he learned his lesson and he didn't want to set up shop in the other city. Maybe his daughters were influenced by all of the wickedness. Later on, they're going to pull a prank on their dad.
rank.
Well, I was trying to think of a nice way.
Nice way of saying it.
Basically, they get dad drunk and he gets them both pregnant. Where'd they learn that from?
Probably
I'm sure
their
so.
friends in Sodom and
Perhaps
Gomorrah.
the town they had come from plays into it. Well, 16, do Lot's concerns sometimes dominate our lives? If so, give examples.
Oh, we like a nice house,
We like a nice house, right?
comfortable living.
How often do we complain about work? Why are we complaining about work? Doesn't God give you blessings through that? We want more riches in this world. How many people buy the lottery tickets? Are riches going to make you happy?
No, it's not.
I am surprised. I read an article a few weeks back about a whole bunch of people who have become instant millionaires and then declared bankruptcy a year later.
Right.
And you see that with some rookies in professional sports. They go out and they buy mom the new house. They buy the muscle car, the Ferrari, and all these other things. They haven't learned how to plan yet. I mean, I don't buy lottery tickets, but in what I've gleaned over the years, if you win big, what do they tell you to do?
Be quiet.
First of all, keep quiet. Don't go and claim your prize the next day.
No, you have to get a
Before you ever do it,
accountant.
sit down with a money person, so you know exactly what is gonna happen. This lady out east is suing because she does not want her name out.
Yeah.
And state rules say winners have to have their names published. I think she's gonna win. Why don't you want your name out there?
Because everybody is gonna be
You
called.
have to.
Oh, you're gonna find relatives you didn't know you were related to. Everybody is gonna ask you for money. I had 2 requests this past week in Facebook. Guy wanted me to get him and his family out of Nigeria.
Oh, yeah, well,
Okay. Unfortunately, I don't have any connections there, and I don't have the money to help him out. Somebody else asked me for a motel room, laundry, gas, and money for he and his family, because they're homeless. I get a lot of requests like this. Imagine if I won $100 million.
You wouldn't have it long.
I actually know I'd give most of it away anyways. And people would ask me for it and say, sorry, I don't have it anymore. Yes, I did dream that once. If I won the $100 million, what would I do with it? Interesting. Anyways, all right, let's look at the last section here. By the time Lot reached Zoar, the sun had risen over the land. Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. Thus he overthrew those cities and the entire plain, including all those living in the city, and also the vegetation in the land. But Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Early the next morning, Abraham got up and returned to the place where he had stood before the Lord. Abraham looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah, toward all the land of the plain, and he saw dense smoke rising from the land like smoke from a furnace. So when God destroyed the cities of the plain, he remembered Abraham, and he brought Lot out of the catastrophe that overthrew the cities where Lot lived. So, describe what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah.
was totally destroyed, not only the city, but even all the vegetation around there. And that's why, like today, it's known as the Dead Sea, and there's nothing around there.
No, where they think Sodom and Gomorrah were,
Underneath the Dead Sea.
nothing grows there. And the ground is full of sulfur. Of course, you get to the Dead Sea is literally dead.
Right.
If you can't float, go to the Dead Sea, you can float there. But it takes water in, but no water goes out. It is so salty. Yes?
You said it. They say you can just pick up chunks of sulfur anywhere in that area.
Can you imagine Abraham looking out there and it's not there? Kind of like Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure this was worse.
What?
This was worse.
Oh, yeah.
Sodom and Gomorrah was probably a lot worse.
And in a way, whenever I think of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I think of Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm not saying they were like Sodom and Gomorrah in that sense, but in the fact that Sodom and Gomorrah were warned, weren't they? Yeah, they were, but they didn't listen. Were Hiroshima and Nagasaki warned? U.S. dropped flyers
They did.
over the cities saying, we're gonna blow you up. And the people laughed. You can't wipe a city out. Yeah, we can. And it happened. When God wipes something out, I mean, you look at Hiroshima and Nagasaki now. Nice places, they really are. Nice cities. How about Sodom and Gomorrah?
Nothing. There'll never be anything there.
Never came back. All right.
I got a question.
Yes.
Okay, I watch History Channel and they try to come up with the reasoning for what happened in the Bible sometimes. So I was watching this one, and they say there's a certain kind of meteorite that came through that totally destroys everything. And so
Yeah.
they could see how it happened, but it's like,
I understand.
When they bring that up, I typically go back and say, what does the Bible say?
it
The
rings.
Bible says God sent it. And of course, someone will say, well, God sent the meteor. Well, the other thing that, not to rain on their parade a little bit, what are most meteors made out of?
Rock.
Rocks, iron.
Iron.
Iron,
You will not find a meteor made out of sulfur.
no.
But they try to explain everything away. You know, could God have sent a meteor? Very good of it. But when you look at the way the Bible describes what he did, and it says he rained down sulfur. And it's not like one little ball came down. We had a wonderful snowstorm yesterday. Imagine if that was all burning sulfur.
Everything would have burned up.
And wouldn't have to shovel. But the History Channel's really good at it. They have to find a logical reason for it. I remember watching the History Channel once talking about crossing the Red Sea.
Oh,
And they figured it had to be at this spot because when the wind blows at a certain spot, it's shallow enough you could walk through it.
except that
It
God
was
says
not-
it's dry land.
It was dry.
It was dry land that they walked
It is the
across.
way.
And not that I need archaeological proof, but if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in the Red Sea, some scuba divers found some things.
Chariots.
They found a bunch of wagon wheels from chariots stuck in the mud. I wonder whose theirs. My guess is Pharaoh and his army. And it was not 6 inches deep. A lot deeper. Yeah,
When he read that, there was no escape for these wicked people.
no. There was no way they were gonna escape. The only ones who escaped were Lot and his 2 daughters. His wife didn't make it very far. Do you have a question?
Why did everyone ask all these questions?
What was that?
Why did everyone ask all these questions?
Where on earth are we in my questions? Did we do 18?
She's asking why Abraham.
Okay, in verse 24, we read that the Lord rained down this destruction. There's your answer. The Lord is the name by which he identified himself as the God of free and faithful grace. How does this destruction harmonize with that identity of God? If he is the God of free and faithful grace, why did he wipe these 2 cities out?
He's also a just God.
Well, if you go back to the quote that I had from Galatians before, God will not be mocked, really. And they were mocking him. And yes, he is a God of grace. He's also a God of justice, too. They needed the warnings, the prodding of God's law. They didn't listen. Well, number 19, Jesus urges us in Luke, remember Lot's wife. What do we learn from her?
It was hard for her to give up the pleasures of Sodom and Gomorrah.
We don't know exactly why she was back. We speculate. She missed it.
She didn't listen to what the Lord said.
God said, don't look back, and she did. She disobeyed. And there are consequences to disobeying. And I think that people need to learn today there are consequences to your actions. I've read so many different articles from so many different news places about the shooting in Florida. And people do not realize there are consequences to their actions and their words. And they don't want to own up to it. Anyway, you got any questions?
I just have a statement. When Abraham looked over and saw that, can you imagine how disappointed he was? Think, okay, now, did Lot get out? Is he safe? Did he lose his righteousness?
At that point,
whatever.
he did not know.
No, at
But
that time, he didn't.
He also knew God was a God of free and faithful
Yeah.
grace. And he knew his nephew was a believer.
Yeah,
And did God spare him?
yeah.
When he first looked out, he didn't know.
Oh,
But he trusted God. He was going to make things work for his good. And he did.
I think there was also disappointment there that Lot did not practice his faith probably as much as he could have, just out of bringing others
Sure.
to faith.
He looked out there and said, my nephew made some stupid decisions here. And it hurt. I mean, we've had that with relatives too, where we've warned them and they still do it. It's kind of like in the sermon about teenage son who doesn't want to listen to mom and dad's advice. How many times do we want to tell our kids later on, but we don't, I told you so? I mean, I've heard that many times where they said, now you're going to tell me I told you so? I'm not going to say it. Did you learn? And yes, there's disappointment when the kids do stuff like that. But again, in whom did Abraham trust? And no matter what happened to Lot, he knew God would take care of him. Well, in the summary there, while learning that God cannot be mocked, we also learned that he hears the prayers of his people. Whether it is faithful Abraham bringing his petitions to the Lord, or wavering Lot pleading his cause to God's messengers, the child of God can be confident that his prayers are heard and answered according to God's perfect wisdom. God remembers, and he keeps his promises. Well, we'll close with the prayer here. O Lord, our rock and redeemer, help us be more frequent and fervent in our prayers to you. You alone protect, you alone deliver, you alone forgive, you alone are the one for whom we are to live. Amen. Have a good day. Enjoy the snow.
That won't be long.
I'm not going.